Hello and welcome to the Stuff of Legends. We are part of the Hasbro Marvel team, and I'm Ryan in marketing, joined by
Dwight in design.
And guys, we are here to walk you through a very exciting Hasbro Pulse exclusive item that will be up for pre-order soon. Here's what it looks like when you get this 3-pack home and you take it out. You can pose your 3 Spider-Men as we saw in the film in the final battle there. You've got your neighborhood Spider-Man on the left, your Amazing Spider-Man on the right, and our integrated suit in the middle there. All right, so it's the one-stop shop for all 3 Peters, the first time that you'll be able to get this. All right, so let's talk about how this is going to pre-order. This is going to pre-order later today at 1 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Hasbro Pulse, and we are still working on the packaging box, but we really wanted to show you guys what the final renders will look like. The Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home 3-pack, available exclusively on the Hasbro Pulse. We're huge fans of this groundbreaking film, and we know you are too. So we're just getting started on the many iconic characters from this epic story. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, as you saw right there, I wasn't necessarily enthusiastic to be spending a little over $100 on what is pretty much just 3 6-inch Marvel Legends figures that you could easily find in the store. The only thing that it gets by on is that it's Tom, Tobey, and Andrew, and they're exclusive to Hasbro Pulse, which then made me pose the question, how far do we go as Marvel fans and as Hasbro Marvel Legends fans to spend that amount of money on figures that we genuinely want? Are Hasbro Marvel Legends figures really worth it today? I would be lying if I said that my induction into collecting Hasbro Spider-Man figures stemmed from when they started to take over the license. It would actually be a little bit further back with the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man film back in 2002, where one of my first Spidey figures was that of wrestler suit Spider-Man. I distinctly remember getting him from Toys R Us, bringing him home, and getting infatuated with not only having my own Spider-Man figure finally, despite going through the majority of my childhood without one, but also with the ability to be able to change him from wrestler suit Spidey to the regular form Spidey outfit. And that's always been a huge draw for me in terms of action figures, is gimmicks that are make it worthwhile, especially when it comes to transformative ones, because honestly by that point I was really in love with Transformers. Beast Wars, oh yeah, that was my shit. However, at the time I was only about 11 or 12, so I didn't necessarily have my own form of income. Hell, I didn't even really have an allowance, so I had to wait until my parents were either in a good mood or until some kind of occasion like Christmas or birthdays to be able to acquire more of these action figures. By the time that these cycles started to run a little bit more frequent, we then got figures from the Spider-Man 2 line in 2004, where I was able to accrue a bit more after falling in love with the actual hobby of collecting action figures. By then I was a teenager, and I was able to then resonate with the collection, especially with the 6-inch figures in the form of the superposable zipline Spider-Man that has the gimmick of being able to attach itself to a billboard, as well as the really superposable Doc Ock 6-inch. And then there was a bit of a gateway drug, and that drug was video making. Being able to kind of find myself connecting to filmmaking and stop motion animation, and in doing so I thought to myself, I should probably get a bigger figure in order to cut to close-ups and get a little bit more detail and performance out of my action figures. And in doing so, I went ahead and asked my parents to get me the 12-inch Doc Ock figure, which is arguably a lot less posable but very much better detailed and sculpted, and because of that I was then forming a collection. The years went on and I was able to acquire a bit more through the means of yard sales and also kids meals. Eventually we got Spider-Man 3, and with that the release of its figures that then came from Hasbro, as opposed to the prior ones from Spider-Man 1 and 2, which were made by Toy Biz. And it's here where I realized that I was taking the hobby of figure collecting seriously, because finally when those Spider-Man 3 figures came from Hasbro, it drew an awful lot of ire and criticism from me, but that to me served as a bit of a signal, as a bit of a heart palpitation on the trend of figure collecting and figure distribution that made me think I really did care about collecting Spider-Man figures. It was also in the late 2000s when I started to have a little bit of an internal crisis here, because it was here where, obviously like I mentioned, I had to rely on birthday parties, Christmases, special occasions, and just overall moments of very scarce moments of my parents being in a good mood to be able to acquire figures. And that became a little bit more and more challenging when the quality of the figures started to go down, the sizing and the plastic utilized for accessories started to be minimized, while the price strangely started to get a little higher up there, and the recession in 2008 wasn't exactly making the situation any better. And because of that, I had, unfortunately, a bit of a fallout with toy collecting overall, whether it came from Hasbro or Mattel or Toy Biz. It was just something that just became unaffordable, and because of the quality and the pricing, I kind of fell off, and my aspirations for collecting were somewhat reallocated towards movies and video games. Enter what is being referred to as the vintage retro card line, which is pretty much an homage to the lineage of Spider-Man through its 60 years of comic book history by kind of giving us different 6-inch figures, not only for the different iterations of Spider-Man, but also different incarnations of his respective villains and side characters that form part of that web of his history. This is a line that kind of stemmed from somewhere between 2019, 2020 to today, and overall it's kind of a way to give us different costumes and different repaints and resculptings of Spider-Man that pretty much make up the different versions of the animated series versus ones that you've probably seen in one-off shoots in the comic books. And this was also kind of an excuse for me to get as many Spidey men as possible, just like with McFarlane Toys was kind of a gateway drug to try to collect as many Batman and create an ultimate Batman collection. The new vintage retro card line from Hasbro was pretty much my window peek into wanting to acclimate as many of these Spidey costumes into my collection as possible. We obviously got Armored Spidey right there. The 2099 Spidey was kind of quintessential, and then we even have a Ben Reilly. Of course, reviews for all of these figures are still up on the channel, so you guys can check out those individual videos as well. But of course, there was no way I was going to pass up on a reissue or some kind of reiteration of the Black Symbiote Spidey, as well as even Cyborg Spidey. So there's also that. And despite being against my better financial judgment, I even have others still on pre-order for the remainder of 2022, such as the Dr. Octopus and Silk 2-pack, the Spinneret and Classic Spidey 2-pack, the Iron Spire, the Null and Venom 2-pack, and even some Target exclusives such as the Marvel Legends 60th Anniversary Spider-Noir and Spider-Ham action figures 2-pack from Into the Spider-Verse, and yes, even Bagman. I even got the bombastic Bagman on pre-order. I mean, come on, look at that thing. How can I not get it? And if this line was able to bring out something out of me that kind of resonates with this particular wave of characters, wave of versions of Spidey that was getting me back into collecting 6-inch Spider-Man figures, then it's probably going to have some kind of effect on others as well that probably rescinded from the hobby. And because of that, it showed in the sales, and it looks like Hasbro has no real immediate plans of stopping from producing more and more figures from this respective wave. You even got a Walmart exclusive Lizard, as well as a classic looking animated series Spidey that's exclusive to Walmart that I'm currently in the hunt for, and it's still currently sold out, so wish me luck. This then led us to the inevitability of No Way Home figures. I mean, come on. From the release of the film leading up to its home release, you knew, all of us knew, as Spider-Man fans, as Hasbro figure collectors, that they could not pass up on the opportunity of bringing us some kind of iteration on the Tobey and Andrew Spider-Man. And I mean, it's just wasted money to not produce that to some capacity. But it's also another thing entirely to probably put said price into question. In April of 2022, the Hasbro Pulse Instagram account posted a little tease of potential No Way Home figures dropping in 2023. And then on July 15th, 2022, a live stream / 7-minute video from the creators over at Hasbro Pulse then divulged full details on a No Way Home Multiverse Edition 3-pack that was going to be exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. Ryan of Brand Marketing and Dwight of Product Design went ahead and took 7 minutes to showcase each of the 3 figures, starting off with the Tom Holland No Way Home figure that has the integrated suit, However, you may have noticed that this is technically the second figure in that particular iteration. We already had one when No Way Home initially debuted in theaters back in December, except this time he's gonna have a form of a revision amongst the body. He's gonna have printed webs, he's gonna have an extra pair of hands, and different little modifications here and there to just improve on the figure. So they pretty much remade the figure with a different sculpt and improvements on things that people criticized the first wave for. And then they finally got to what we were waiting for, of course, what's being dubbed as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, aka Tobey Spidey, and he's going to be having a 6-inch figure here utilizing the Sam Raimi costume with printed webs, the extra pair of hands, so he's going to have a total of 6 hands, 3 pairs, and overall it looks pretty decent as far as the actual render. But I will be honest, and I understand that these are meant to be 3D renders, and there's an awful lot that is subject to change as far as licensing and proportions and details. Even Ryan himself at the beginning of the stream clarified that there's potential for things to change depending on patents and licenses and all that good stuff. So there's always the potential that what we see here in these renders is not exactly how the final product is going to look like, which I'm hoping for that to be the case, considering that the face is not looking all that great for Tobey Spidey. The rest of the body does, but the head just looks a little weird as far as the mask and the lenses on the mask are concerned. It kind of reminds me of that meme that goes around where people were looking and analyzing the mask from when Spidey's hanging upside down after kissing Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3, where they were saying that it was disproportionate to his face. It's looking like something similar is happening with his face here. So I'm hoping that that's something that's going to change in the final product. But overall, I'm happy with the design, which then leaves us with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, aka the Amazing Spider-Man. As Ryan and Dwight clarified, this is actually going to be the tallest, even though he's to scale with the 6-inch figures. He's going to have a few extra millimeters on top of them, since it's actually to scale. Amongst the 3 of them, Andrew ended up being the tallest Peter out of the bunch, and likewise, he's going to be representing that here in figure form. And frankly, even despite being a 3D render, this is arguably the best looking out of the bunch, considering that he's coming from one of the worst versions of Spider-Man as far as the movies are concerned. His costume is actually looking legitimately nice, and the figure version here is pretty much going to be mirroring that, and likewise with the prior 2, he's going to be including his 3 pairs of articulated hands. Of course, like I mentioned before, one of the things that has been kind of staple for Spidey, and I'm kind of missing it just a little bit here, is some kind of web strands or web accessories to kind of give him some dynamicy, but I get it. The main focus was going to be the 3 Spider-Man, and they're all going to be neatly packaged into one set for Hasbro Pulse exclusive. However, that's where our major detriment comes in, because ultimately that's going to be the only form to be able to purchase these figures. So I thought of myself, being an exclusive, that means it's probably going to be privy to being sold out within probably a couple of hours from its initial unveiling. And at the end of the stream, they mentioned that it was going to be available for pre-order later that day. So I jumped onto the interwebs to see if it was still available, and it was. And as I went through the steps to give me my final checkout price, it all arrived to a whopping $103 and some change. And as much as I love Spider-Man, I really dug No Way Home. I really respected the ambition to bring back both Andrew and Tobey, and Hasbro being able to pay homage to that through their 6-inch wave exclusive here. There was just something in my heart and in my guts that just held back my hand from clicking the mouse on that checkout button, and actually made me stop and ponder, is it really worth spending almost $105 on 3 6-inch figures? That's pretty much about $33, $34 a pop. And these are essentially figures that are very similar to the ones that you can easily find on a shelf at Walmart or Target. And the only real glamour to these is that you have Tobey and Andrew included, and they're exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. Beyond that, they really don't differentiate that much from the ones that you can typically get for even a cheaper price should they ever fall on sale, or you're able to utilize some kind of reward system through those retailers such as Target, Walmart, or Best Buy. And as I backed away from the computer and inevitably closed down the tab, at the time of this recording, I have yet to really buy these figures because there's something just deep down inside that just can't bring myself to do it. especially when you take into consideration how many other opportunities there are for great No Way Home merchandise that can take advantage of the inclusion of both Tobey and Andrew. I know that SH Figure Arts has something coming down the pipeline also in 2023. They've been kind of quiet, but there's also the potential of Medicom/Mayfix to introduce something for the 3 Spider-Man that, albeit at least one of those figures is going to cost the price of these 3 Hasbro Pulse exclusives, but at least they'll counterbalance that with an additional amount of accessories, sculpting, detail, and articulation, all jam-packed into one 6-inch figure. And within the past couple of months, Hot Toys has been hard at work of kind of rolling out promotional material and hype around No Way Home exclusive 12-inch 1/6 scale figures that are going to cost a pretty penny, but at least they're going to be able to match it up with the traditional Hot Toys quality and premium establishment that you would expect out of a Hot Toys product, with the realistic face sculpts and the costumes and the clothing and the accessories and all that jazz that just makes those figures worth it. Most recently, they unveiled an Andrew Garfield figure from Amazing Spider-Man 2 as kind of a reissue, and then in some display stands and conventions, most recently with Comic-Con, they did showcase the Tobey Maguire masked Spider-Man, a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from No Way Home. Frankly, it looks like there's not going to be any kind of shortage for merchandisers and different toy lines and factories and companies to be able to take advantage of No Way Home's potential to create an awful lot of figures for Tobey, Andrew, and Tom respectively, and create these triple packs that will get us foaming at the mouth. But let's just hope that they're at least reasonably priced to match the quality that they are then distributing, because when it comes to a Hasbro Marvel Legends figure, $105 may be pushing it, as the companies I aforementioned, Hot Toys, SH Figure Arts, and Mayfix, may be a different beast altogether because of the quality that they usually are able to meet every time they reiterate on their respective products. And plus, we still got the vintage retro card line to fall back on, and we know that we got plenty more releases lined up for the remainder of this year, as well as going into 2023 with more potential to follow. And that's definitely a line I'll be keeping an eye on, because there's an awful lot of potential going on right here. But I feel like with No Way Home, we need to start putting into question how much is just too much, that sometimes we gotta have to put a little bit more of our scruples ahead of us, despite being hardcore Spider-Man fans, and it need be Hasbro Marvel Legends fans at that. I know that there's a little bit of a nostalgia tether, considering how I grew up with the Tobey line, and there's a little bit of a affinity there for me to want to pull the trigger on the No Way Home collection. But at the same time, the fact that I haven't done so yet should probably speak volumes to how questionable that price tag really is, and it makes us ask ourselves, is it truly worth it? Is it truly worth it to do that now, or save up a little bit more money and go for something a little bit more high quality? So that's why I want to ask you guys, what's your preferred toy company to go for your particular set of action figures should you be a collector? Are you a huge fan of Hasbro Marvel Legends and what they've been doing recently with their retro line? Are you going to be getting the No Way Home triple pack from Hasbro Pulse, or do you rather want to wait for something that's a bit more higher in quality? And sure, it's going to come with a heftier price tag, but at least you know that you're getting what you paid for, whether it be from Mayfix, Medicom, SH Figure Arts, or the top tier, the coup de grace, the Lamborghini of action figure toy lines, Hot Toys. Because yes, I got some of them on pre-order. Thankfully, the pre-orders don't necessarily charge you until those figures ship, and they don't ship until next year. But that's why I want to utilize the time that I have here to really ponder where exactly I want to allocate my money towards really great No Way Home products. Let me know your guys' responses in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video essay, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or if you didn't, hit the thumbs down, and it lets me know exactly what content is working and what's not, and that way I can produce better content for you folks out there that love Spider-Man just as much as I do. And if you do and you want to look forward to more, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and as always guys, stay humble. I'll see you in the next one.